Yeah, number one here, influencing. So influencing what of compounds? Attentive mass, it does not make sense. But in science, we use the word the concentration of compounds in the soil. That's right. Centralization, we're not talking about the center something or the centralization of management of government, for example. So all of this doesn't make sense with the science here because we are talking about science. As you know, he said the environmental constraints, he said soil for plants, he said there is stress on flowering, nutritional quality. So we're talking about scientific language. So letter C it is correct. Now let's go to number 4, the question first. Here's the role of the second means the function of the second sentence. So read it.
B.
Letter B it can, but it does not tell us why patients with hair abnormality may actually have a condition. Because it didn't mention about patients. Remember the underlined only. See, because it's the second sentence. So it doesn't mention anything about patients, so no B. And it does not mean we have a connection between iron and the copper intake that cause the disease, no. So no C, no B. But letter A, it's a good one because he said a link between this one and the lack. So we have a relationship between this material and the lack of copper absorption found in patients. It's a good to find it. He said regulates the activity of enzyme, which needs copper. Needs copper. So a link between the lack of proper copper. So it means lack of proper means it needs it. So if you need something, it means you lack it. Okay, so there is a link between them. Yes or no? And he mentioned again copper for its enzymatic activity. That means we need it for copper absorption found in patients with Menkes disease. So letter 8 is correct. Let's check together D. It elaborates on the claim that mice are the best source of data. It does not mention anything about mice at all. So letter D. Mentioned in the passage, but not the underline. That's why. So letter 8 is correct. How about number 5? The question first. Let's find the function of quotations. Let me help you for something. We test
Okay.
usually for why do we have quotations as a technique to prove something. So they show reputable scientists that hold every different views. But the main point of the quotation is proving something because they said they conclude. So they found conclusion about the experiment. We are not talking about reputable and famous scientists. This out of context of the quotations. But the quotation came or inserted or included to add details to prove it. Here, undermined conclusions. Remember, undermined means to prove that something is not important or less important. But here, it does not mean it's less important about the safety of tidal energy system. So this means here undermined no. To introduce expert opinions that reinforce the author's primary claim, or they provide authoritative viewpoints that oppose that of the author. So B or D. So this is conclusion. Prove the author or oppose. So it must be oppose. It's good to know why. I said there is little scientific literature to suggest that operation. Little scientific literature means we don't have strong evidence that operation of underwater tidal energy devices will cause elevated levels of mortality. Mortality, as you know, death or demise. If that is mean this is a conclusion came to prove that something opposite. You found that?
Yes.
That's why. Because he mentioned at the beginning, it's affected by tidal current energy system. But the conclusion, the experiment proved the opposite. If so, it must be opposite, not support. If so, letter D, opposite. That's why. As you remember for the last stats, which technique it's used? Is it quotations or expert testimony or viewpoints from experts? What kind of technique to prove your point of view? Let's try the next. Primary function. It's a good read. Yeah, what do you think? Just as we ask you about the main point of this is part. So why the writer mentioned this? So to prove an idea. What is the idea is proved here or this is discussed here? They mentioned the idea of alien life is not a far-fetched as it's used to seem. Discovery now seems inevitable, possibly imminent. As you know, it's like something easy to find it. Inevitable, it means unavoidable. You can do it, possible. That is the idea to emphasize there is credibility in something that once was believed impossible. So we can make it possible. Of course, letter C, it's not related to the uses of the words. What means to interject a light-hearted note? Of course, wrong. To encourage readers to imagine the possible variety, of course not. I came to prove an idea. As I told you, any phrase used in the text or quotations or something to prove the idea or the main idea of the paragraph. So D here is the best answer. That's it. Right? And the letter A, it's wrong because we are not talking about how the creature appear. We are not talking about the appearance of creatures and
Mhm.
or how the appearance changed, as he mentioned here. So this is not supporting the paragraph. So we ask you about what is the main claim or the main gist in this paragraph. That's one, as he mentioned here at the end. Now seems inevitable, possibly imminent. Let's jump to the next. Always read the question very quickly. So we need point they agree with. So now let's read the first one. And when we go to two, find any language of agreement. Let's read it very quickly. Let me help you. For the exam or any test, sometimes you ask you for agreement. We make points like that. Point A, they disagree about it because passage 2 try to prove that there was no mass extinction. So this is A, the opposite. So they disagree about this is point. As I mentioned here, there was actually no simultaneous or instantaneous event that could be classified as mass extinction. Letter B, they disagree about this point. But they disagree about this point. They agree a strike occurred, but claim that there was. Instead, they slow die out over millions of years. That just means they don't die at once or in mass extinction, but over millions of years, with the last major representatives living to about end of so Cretaceous period. Let's see. B, though the Earth cooled due to a meteor impact, it was not enough. This is not mentioned at all. Not mentioned in one or two. That is another technique to give you idea, not mentioned in one or two. So how they agree about substance not mentioned. Again, there was actually no mass extension of the yes, but it's mentioned in two only. You see it? That is means C is wrong. Look for letter D. Most dinosaur species die before the period after this one, as he mentioned at the end of this period. And here he mentioned here at the end of this period. So they agreed about or not? They agree about this point. So letter D it is. That's why. Sometimes in some tests we ask you for disagreeing. So let's find what is opposite. What is the opposition? What is the analogy? What is the comparison? Anything. So go to the next. What is true about the wages of mine work, something already mentioned in the text. So go to read it very quickly.
A.
So you think it's letter A? I don't think so. Why not? You said they are insufficient because of the policies. Remember, A said it's lower, but I think here what is true, it's not sufficient. Yes or no? As he mentioned, they said there was nothing coming to eat. And then the child goes back crying without a mouthful, nothing to eat. That means there is no enough. You feel that? As he mentioned here, oh no, we have kept 20 for rent. But this means they spend all the money, there is no enough. You feel it? So this means, of course, letter B and C, it is not. That's why. Feel it? So this is part not mentioned in the text around the country. So it is wrong. Why not? Let's try the next. Here Y. So why the result is distinguished? Let's try Y.
C.
So you think it's letter C? Then why not to be A? To use the complete measurements than any other study of the region. As he mentioned here, the team was able to take these long-term measurements by piggybacking instruments, and this is one. I do not.
Yeah.
So this means something didn't happen before. Sometimes it will give you ideas it's not mentioned. This is one not mentioned for letter B. We don't have information about including the chemicals. It's not about only. They did mention they did it or they focus only on the Southern Ocean. This means opposite is text. Okay, let's jump to the next. Illustrate the claim. What is the claim? This point. Let me help you for this point. Here we test it for personification. Just like personification, as you know, to make something not human, human. Example one, she mentions to meet an antique book. So the book is not a human to meet him. But this is support letter A for the claim. She personifies books in her poem. And she mentions in it just the dress his century wore. So the book does not dress. And she mentions his like a human. For letter B and C, we don't find any personification. This is person already girl. So what is personification? There is no more. Here she mentioned as one. So as one it's a human. So already it's a human. So we need personification. Something not human, we make it human. So we give a human characteristics to something not human. That's what. So letter A. Clear now?
Yes.
Now let's jump.
C.
And the letter C, it is correct. That is right. Now number 12. To complete the example, so we need an example for a point mentioned before. Let's find it.
D.
So letter D, it's correct. Example to support that the work in places other than the hospitals. That is right. Complete the text. That means we need an example to prove something before. Let's go. Let me help you to understand that.
Yeah.
Here, 4 boys. How about the girls? Must be less interested. Why? Because he mentioned here for the boys, it's more. Gender interest stereotypes were stronger than gender ability. That means boys stronger interest. So girls, it's less. Yes or no?
Yes.
That's why. Now let's go to check. How about the graph? The interest, it's higher or not for the boys, but how about the ability? It's interest, but what they can do? That's why. So it's less here. It's 1 for the gender ability. That's why. So it must be letter C. More interested, of course, wrong. Equally, we don't have equality here. Must be higher or lesser. So there is no any equal numbers. That's why. See that? But the problem here, less skilled or less interested. Less interested, as he mentioned, they're interested or not. See that? He didn't mention about the skilled or not. It's something not mentioned in the text. So the adjective here very important. That's why. Let's go to the next question first. So why the decision is a problematic? Now we need to know why the decision will have problems. So if we focus on the last part related to the answer, lending and credit are drying up. Land acquisition delayed, jobs lost or never created. We fear this will continue to get worse until Congress acts. Even worse, this decision will make classes of Indian tribes. That is means they will divide people, they will make troubles. And then he give you definition what will happen. If we read letter A is not mentioned at all. It's not conform or related to the rules of exacting wording. We are not talking about the wording of the legislation or drafting the laws or rules. Are you still with me? Hello.
Yes.
Right. For letter B, it asserts that legislation only applies to specific Americans. Yes, it could be. As I mentioned, here will create two classes of Indian tribes. Did we mention anything about the decision will create new methods by which the Native Americans could regain land? It's not supported because he said here it's drying up and the land acquisition are delayed. It's opposite. So he's wrong. It said precedents was that facilitated establishment. This is opposite. Not mentioned. So that just means here all the rules could be applied for or to the specific Native Americans only. As you see, for the Indian tribes here have no any benefits or something. You catch it?
Yes.
Fine. Now you can answer the next one until I send you a new link. Come on.